I have a difficulty believing this passage. I have difficulty believing that demons jump from people into pigs and then run down a hill and all die in a lake. But it all seems a bit, I'm a house of horror for me, this. Everything else that I read in the Bible, almost, apart from the Old Testament, he's sort of sending a message and showing a positive way forward. This passage for me sort of sticks out, and this is where I sort of mistrust a little bit our own scribes over the years that have brought these things into the Bible. So my personal take on it is I'm not that impressed with that.
Hello all, welcome back to Raw Faith. My dad and I are back at our local church of St Mary's, and we read through the rest of Matthew chapter 8, which continued many of Christ's miracles. He's healing the sick, but he's also performing very grand miracles. He's quelling great storms when he's on a boat in the middle of the sea, and he's exorcising demons from people's heads and sending them off into great herds of animals that are going crazy because of that. Some of the stories were harder to believe than others, but what we found is all of them had a message or a metaphor that we could relate to our own lives. You know, the fact that people are possessed by demons, that could mean something along the lines of mental health and how Christ was helping people with those problems. The quelling of a great storm, there's a message within that of trusting God to get you through hard times, no matter how hopeless they may seem. And those were just a few of the things we saw. There was so much that came alive, and stick around to see what we had to say and see what we discovered, because that's what it's like. It's like opening up this treasure chest, these texts, and seeing the treasures that we're in. So we got a lot out of it, and we hope you enjoy watching it. Thank you very much. I've been quite burnt out with religion. I've sort of been taking a break from it the last month. And I don't actually feel guilty for it, for skipping a few services. And I was worried about it because I thought, oh no, my faith is slipping away again. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine in the pub. He's a trainee priest. And I was asking him, I said, do priests ever lose their faith? And he said, yeah, sometimes. He said, but what really is common is that they get burnt out. Absolutely. Because if you think about a priest's life, every day is religion. Yeah. And they're having to write sermons, they're having to do services all day long, they're going to bedsides in hospitals as people pass away, they're doing christenings, and they've got congregations chasing them down for everything. And so that's why they actually go on retreats, is to get away from it all, get back to what's important. And I'm so glad he told me that. That was months ago, because I was starting to get a little bit upset that my faith was struggling, and I thought, oh no, I think I'm just a bit burnt out, because we do a lot of services. A lot of my friends are religious, hanging out with them, filming these, editing these. I think I just went a bit full force on it. So I've had a month off, and hopefully over Christmas it will renew something in me again. Yeah. But it was quite upsetting to just feel myself not care about this stuff as much. Has that ever happened with you?
Yeah, loads of times, and virtually with everybody I know that's come to Christianity. Because I think if you're true to your faith and you don't just treat it as we read in one of our last chapters, that you go through the rigmarole of going to church every week and that's it. That's you will never get burnt out from doing that. But if you actually try to live your life as a Christian, if you consider all the time of how it affects you and how it affects the world and how the scriptures fit within it, and what and your faith in God and Jesus, and in relation to your everyday life, particularly like you, that is really trying to find your way through it and question it and trying to understand it, and you're looking for signs, and you almost not desperate but almost really want to feel God to know that he's there. It's exhausting.
Yeah, it is.
And I've been definitely through that. And it is perfectly okay to go dormant for a bit. You know, God will never leave you because you've not rejected him. Everybody's allowed to dwell a little bit. I generally do it, and I've done it a little bit recently. My health's not been brilliant, so that's sort of given me a little bit of tiredness. But I also get fed up of the church and the organisation of the church sometimes. It's not, you know, I'm sure everybody does. Everybody gets fed up because you know, you get all sorts of people in church, and some of them get on your nerves, and some of them make you really happy, and sometimes I just think, oh, I've had enough of that for a bit, and you sort of find yourself retracting a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think all you got to do at that time is give yourself a break, let yourself recover, and just let God come to you and let him be with you in your life. But don't try and think too hard.
Yeah,
just relax. And they're doing this as well.
Yeah.
This is going to be quite intensive.
Yeah.
You're editing. You're thinking about the concepts when you're putting the shots together. You're focused on the sound and what's being said. So again, you've got this. You as well have got this part-time intensivity regarding these broadcasts. So yeah, you need to give yourself a bit of a break every now and again.
Yeah, I remember. It was actually in the previous episode. It dawned on me when Father Daniel was talking. Both of you were, and you were both sort of making the point that you didn't find God; He found you. He kind of came to you at a certain point. And when I heard that, it both relaxed me and irritated me because it means that
you could have to wait.
I'm going to have to wait, and there's nothing I can do to sort of speed it along. But at the same time, there is some comfort in that of maybe I can just chill out a bit and just do it because I want to and because I'm interested in it.
I think that's absolutely the way to do it. I mean, he came to me very much when I was in need of him, and I was open to him, and I was asking for stuff. I was praying for stuff, and I was rewarded with the answers to my prayers. Not like a bolt of lightning, but it came. The answer came, and when you're like that, you're not in this like search. You're not into this intellectual search for evidence.
Yeah.
You're looking for evidence. You're looking for proof. That's not the way you find God. It's a very, very, very emotional feeling. I think he comes through you. It's something that you feel. You don't see evidence. You don't see little proof indicators. I mean, you sort of see them later on when you look for them. It's called coincidence.
Yeah.
Things happen to you. You see beautiful moments in your life that occur, and you think, I prayed for that, and that happened in a way that was beautiful. Is that a coincidence? But when you've had hundreds and hundreds of coincidences, you then realise it's not coincidence anymore, and your faith supports that as well. But yeah, I think you can try too hard, and you can try too hard for intellectual truth, whereas you're better off relaxing, opening your heart, and letting him come to you.
Yeah, I think that's true. And the other thing is, even if I am not feeling it, I'm always better off for having gone to, say, a service, because I always get something out of it. And also filming these episodes, there's always something that comes out of it. And part of me, I mean, it won't make or break my faith, but part of me is really hoping today, as we go through these passages, it might hopefully spark something in me again and get me going, because these are very deep passages that we're about to read. Some of my favourites, actually. So who knows what might happen.
Yeah, you do. You I think once you get to know God and you start to feel him and you recognise him a little bit more than you would do at the moment, you might not feel it, not be as aware of it as possibly people that have had that gift for a long time. But like when we film now, for instance, in this church, it's freezing cold. Yeah, because it is in November and it's like 7 degrees outside, you know, and it was 5 degrees yesterday. But I feel a warmth around me. I sometimes describe it as a bit like, there's an old advert for ready bread oats in the morning, and this kid used to eat his oats and go out into the world, and he had this glow around him, like Superman, which was the glow that the oats put in you, send him off to school with a glow around it. Well, there's a little bit of feel like that when I'm here now. I something in me sort of lifts, and I feel a warmth, and I do feel, really feel that God's here now, that we've got the Holy Spirit, and what we're doing is a good thing, and He'll guide us, and hope we won't mess it up and annoy people too much,
Yeah.
But I feel it, I do feel it, and hopefully one day you will, But it's, you can't call Him like a dog. He'll come to you when you need Him.
Yep. When Jesus entered Peter's house, he saw his mother-in-law lying in bed with a fever. He touched her hand, and the fever left her. And she got up and began to serve him. That evening they brought to him many who were possessed by demons, and he cast out the spirits with a word, and cured all who were sick. This was to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophet Isaiah. He took our infirmities and bore our diseases. There's sort of two halves to that passage, Dad. I've read an interpretation of the first half with the mother-in-law that I actually really like, which is nowhere in there is it mentioned that Peter sent for Jesus or that the mother was asking to be cured. And so there's interpretation there that God will heal you even if you don't ask Him to. And I think that's a lovely way to look at it, because there are so many people who hadn't had a faith that have found that they've been healed or got over an illness, or even people with a faith that haven't asked to be healed and have got better. So there's a great amount of hope in that bit for me.
Yeah.
And there's also, it's not just an illness, it's pain, fever. The Greek word for it means the heat of fire.
Fever.
Yeah, so it's a very painful illness. And the Jewish tradition called it bones on fire. Your bones are on fire. That's how it's described. So it's a horrible affliction. So he's not just curing her sickness, he's also curing her pain.
Yeah.
So that's a lovely bit. The second half, I'm not quite sure what to make of with the demons. What do you think of the passage?
Right. Well, the first thing that hit, because I've got a mischievous mind, you know that, don't you?
All too well.
And the first thing that I saw in this was a joke. I mean, I don't want to belittle it, because there's some important messages here, and I'm going to go to them in a minute. But just for a bit of fun, Jesus turns up at Peter's house and saw Peter's mother-in-law lying in bed sick and wanted his tea.
Oh, because she
serves
serves
him. So he touched her hand, the fever left her, and she got up and began to serve him.
Yeah.
That's what I just see. I can't. If she's sick in here, I'm not going to get anything to eat. Now she's serving her. That's the first thing that came to my mischievous mind. Take that away. It's naughty.
That's like a Monty Python sketch.
It is. It's like, where's my tea?
Yeah.
Oh, she's sick. Oh, yeah, go and get me tea. But no. So the bit that triggered that was he began to serve her.
Yeah.
Which naturally would do if somebody made you sick. You'd want to go make a cup of tea and have a cake and have a glass of wine and thank them very much, So, but it's just my mischievous thing. You're dead right about people being cured. That it's a gift from God, and sometimes I always think that the person themselves might not have asked for it, but there's thousands and millions of people praying for them. Like when we do intercessions or we do evening prayer in Compline, and we do the little prayers there, we pray for the world. We pray for the people that are in sickness. We pray for people that are living on the streets. We pray for people that are in war, famine, and are ill. And those prayers go out and they're answered. So the person that gets better might not have asked for it, but a million of other people could have asked God for it. So, but I do believe God will look on somebody, and I'm sure He will, and think, no, that person needs to stay on the earth a bit longer. I've got some work for him, so we'll make him better or her better. But yeah, there is definitely a case of it's not gone up to and heal me, you know.
And what's nice there is, maybe it's a metaphor, but with the she got up and serve him part, do you think there's an instruction in there that if God has helped us out, it's now, you know, it's a bit of a nudge to, all right, now you've got to step up and be a bit more of a Christian?
Well, I don't know if it's that deep, that bit.
It might not be a command, but maybe just like, that's the right thing to do in that situation.
Yeah, possibly. Well, you would do anyway. If anybody came in and made you immediately well, you would want to do something back. You would feel that as a human being, that you'd want to reward them for it or just show your gratitude. But it also could be in that respect that it also makes this passage quite clear that she was immediately cured. It wasn't a case of now he's held a hand, a fever has started to subside, and over the next couple of days she was fine. It's saying that she immediately got up and started to serve him. So what it's saying is that this is actually a miracle. It's an absolute wallop. She's fixed. Straight away, out you get, and everything's normal. I think it's making that point as well, you know. The next bit was interesting about the demons. Now they obviously brought in many people, because that guy, well, he's just made my mother-in-law better. Let's get all these people that need fixing, you know, so he brought them. Now, possessed by demons and cast out the spirits, okay? I see that as mental illness.
Yeah.
Depression, schizophrenia, whatever you ever put it in a box, you want to put it in a box. It's mental illness, I think. I'm not sure about demons and spirits, but it's definitely a mental illness. And the one, I mean, yeah, Jesus can make things happen. He did. He made things happen, and he still does. And we got to have faith in that he's from God. He can do miracles and he can immediately cure people. However, I know that, for instance, if you got mental illness and you go through a process of, say, you might have medication to alleviate certain chemicals in your mind and stuff like that, but you also have counselling. Yeah. And one of those counselling processes are very often fixed on coming to like yourself again. Because generally when you're in a state of depression, you're looking for negative punches all the time. You're not happy with yourself. You see yourself as not good enough, not fit for the world. That's what leads to suicide. I'm not good enough to be around people. I'm letting all my families down. I'm letting my friends down. I'm going to go and hide in a bedroom and drink or whatever. So the mental illness, sort of the what's it called? The talking,
therapy, counselling.
Therapy, counselling. A lot of that focuses on building your self-esteem back up,
right? Your
self-value, and the one thing that God always says to you, and Jesus will be very clear on, is that they love you and you are wonderful. And it don't matter who you are or wherever you are, God loves you because you are worth loving. Yeah. And it's also in Christian therapy, it's brought into the therapy that you walk. God is here. He loves you. You are worth it. You are wonderful, and God will show you that. And I think, Jesus could probably quite easily heal people with depression by immediately letting them fully understand and get that God's here, he loves me, it's absolutely a wonderful thing, and it would cure their depression. And I see a link between therapy, the modern world, what he's done. I know he's done is a divine thing.
Well, he mentioned here he cast out the spirits with a word. Now, a word, it could be a word of affirmation, which is what you're getting at. I mean, Freud called therapy the talking cure, because you could cure yourself by talking out your issues. Yeah. So you can. It's definitely.
I'm not saying that Jesus did therapy here.
No.
Because that therapy is a long drawn out and can be quite a painful experience to get to the right place eventually with therapy. and not always perfect, but I can see connections. I mean, I would imagine Jesus could give a word that God loves you, and because of the divine power of Jesus, an absolute realization would just go bang, and your depression could just vaporize. You know?
Gets you out of a rut, him coming
all of
along.
a sudden you realise you do get it, because Jesus has performed a miracle on you, and it's not this earthly process of going through the understanding and getting there. It's like instant.
Yeah, it could just be that was the jargon of the day to explain mental illness. Just on a point of this though, I heard this in passing, so I don't know if it's actually true, but it certainly sounds plausible, is that Jesus getting demons out of people is the most attested to story in the Bible. The accounts, the number of accounts of his miracles, the majority of them were getting demons out of people. So it's actually a really big part of our religion, the idea of banishing demons. I'm quite a strict monotheist. I struggle enough believing that God is in three parts and that there was a virgin birth and a resurrection. Demons are another step away from that. But I have to say, if you believe in all that stuff, the idea that demons and angels also exist isn't that much of a step for me. And I don't know why, but just in this moment, it doesn't seem that implausible that there are actual spirits within people that are separate from us, that possess us in the literal sense. So if you're willing to buy into all that other stuff, to me it's just it's an accessory to the faith. So you can look at it in the way we've looked at it with mental illness, but it's perfectly plausible to me, but to believe in this spiritual world that there are negative spirits as well that we have to avoid.
There are arguments for that on both sides. I'm not convinced on the spirits thing. I'm just convinced on the I'm not convinced. I'm sort of border on the failure of the human spirit and the predilection to go to original sin, which is built in us through greed and all that sort of stuff.
That's an interesting point, that, because in a way you could argue the demons are robbing you of your responsibility to do good. That's a very interesting point. Would you go so far as to say you believe in angels?
Absolutely.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think, not in the classic sense of somebody there with a halo and a load of wings.
Right.
But definitely a messenger of God that was used during the birth of Christ and what have you. I can see that being a virtually the only way of getting it done. You know? Yeah. We talked about that. I don't think it's something that God would use regularly.
No, that's interesting. Exactly a year ago, we filmed the first episode, and we made that point that to convince Joseph and what have you, and Mary, to send an angel is a big deal, terrifying event that you can't ignore. It's not all these coincidences that we're talking about. Sending an angel is a big atom bomb of a messenger.
Because it's a momentous event.
You're not going to forget that
happen.
Or wave it off.
No, it had to happen. Yeah, but I think. I mean, we know we've had chats with priests that are convinced that evil's real, and I think they've witnessed it.
Yeah,
and I think would be a very interesting subject to hear from people on that as a side issue on this channel, to whether or not we're just original sin and we're falling into the worldly wiles of greed and power and stuff, or is there actually demons? Is there a devil? Is there a spirits? Or do we just call them that because it absolves our responsibility, if you like? I don't know, but it'd be an interesting conversation to see what people bring up in that respect.
And just to bring it all back round, it ends on he's still fulfilling the prophecy of Isaiah, which we've been talking about.
Prophecies all the way.
Yeah, all along. That they're making the argument. No, this is the Messiah. This isn't just another prophet.
Yeah. This was prophesied. This was said it was going to happen.
Thousands of years ago, and he's ticking off the list. And so, not that we build our faith entirely on evidence, but this is part of it going, look, he's ticking all the boxes here. Yeah. He's not just another magician.
Yeah, there is a theme in that in Matthew, isn't there, of just saying, look, here's another thing he's done. Yeah. Now, when Jesus saw great crowds around him, he gave orders to go over to the other side. A scribe then approached him and said, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." And Jesus said to him, "Foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." Another of his disciples said to him, "Lord, first let me go and bury my father." But Jesus said to him, "Follow me, and let the dead bury their own dead."
This passage takes me back to one of our very first Bible studies that inspired this show. Gosh, over 2 years ago now. And you made a point about the second half of this, about him saying, "Forget about burying your father and follow me," which sounds quite harsh. Do you actually remember what you said?
No.
About this? I thought it was brilliant. I'm glad I remember it. You said it could, because it sounds harsh that he needs to bury his father, and Jesus is saying, "Forget that and follow me." You said that it could be the disciples making excuses not to follow in Jesus. Oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. Oh, I've got a funeral to arrange, and I've even read interpretations where the father isn't dead yet. You know, he might live another 10 years, but it's just he's just saying whatever he can to get out of committing to the true faith and the true path, I should say. And you made the point that maybe Jesus is just seeing through that lie and just telling him, no excuses. Come with me.
I don't remember saying that, but it is a point of view, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, it stuck with me because I agreed with it. Because in the first half, someone is saying to follow him, and he seems to be quite affirmative about that. What did you get from that passage?
Yeah, like you said, there's two bits to it, isn't there, again? Yeah. About the follow me and let the dead bury their own dead. Yeah, it's almost quite a brutal way of saying, in a way, that I guess that person is dead. He's fine. He's okay. You burying him isn't going to improve anything. Whereas if you follow me, that's a whole different ballgame. So I would say that it's saying it's more important for people to follow Jesus than to worry about the intricacies of burying a dead one. You know, and I do hold with that quite a lot. I'm not a person that's into great big funerals with cortèges and people walking in front of cars and great big floral tributes all over there. Yeah. I mean, I'm not doing that down, because that's a personal taste and it's a way of expression of love and stuff like that of somebody that's lost a loved one, and respect for them as well. But I mean, it was simple. Very simple. When I've said this to you before. I do believe that when you die, your body's a shell. Yeah. It's just a vessel that your mind has travelled in, and your mind's in a different place, and it's much happier where it is, and it's in a wonderful time. So it's not a depressing time. It is. It's for the person that's died, but it's quite difficult for the people that have lost that person, because it's we don't truly understand what death brings. We only expect or hope what death brings. So there's an awful sense of loss. But I think that you can over-egg the pudding when it comes to a funeral. I think it's more important for the funerals, I always think of the people that's lost the person, not the man. Yeah. And to come to terms with that. So, yeah, burying somebody and having a funeral, it can be seen as a really big deal. Whereas Jesus doesn't see that as a really big deal. Yeah. Because he doesn't see a dead body as being much other than a dead body. Yeah. So I see that why he would follow me and let the dead. Now, when he says the dead bury their own dead, I don't quite know what he means by and let the dead bury their own dead. Who are the dead? I don't know.
Yeah, I can see it metaphorically,
Yeah.
as in, you're not dead yet. Don't sort of let your life waste away.
Or you think people that aren't interested in following him, he's talking might be the dead.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Somebody that doesn't care about me, bury the dead, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know what the literal meaning of it is, because of course you wouldn't want to leave a body rotting on the side of a road.
Oh, no, of course not.
Because that would be bad for hygiene,
Well,
at
yeah,
least.
Yeah, it'd be bad for everything. Yeah.
But metaphorically, I sort of see it like, you're not dead yet. Don't just live your whole life not doing anything. Come on an adventure with me.
Right.
That's kind of how I saw it. With the first half, talking about how foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. The Son of Man is a reference to himself. He's talking about himself in the third person. But I suppose out of that you could draw the life of a Christian is to always be on the move.
Absolutely.
And I think that's true. I think that the only constant in this world is change. And especially if you're going to live your life by a set of principles or go off on a certain adventure.
Yeah.
And that ties into the second half with let the dead bury their own dead. Don't sit around wasting your life.
Yeah.
Go with the flow, jump in the river and let it take you
Yeah.
on a journey, which is actually quite terrifying. Because you're not going to be in control.
No.
You're going to be pulled along on this, but that's how you add the adventure that will become your life. And you've jumped into that river many times, and it's always been incredible. And usually you had to drag me along as a child, kicking and screaming, because I didn't want to go, because I didn't want to jump in that river. Did you see anything in that first half?
Yeah, very definitely. I follow you entirely on that. It particularly is talking about if you live your life with God and with Christ, you haven't got anywhere to put your head, because you're always in a changing journey. In your faith journey, you never buy a house and stay there in your faith journey. You never have a nest and stay in that nest. You never have a hole in a foxhole and stay in a hole. In your faith journey, you're like Jesus, continually wandering through your life. Yeah, you do have a house, or you don't if you're unfortunate, or you might have to hop around in different places, or live on a boat or whatever, but your faith journey doesn't stand still. It can't stand still. It's impossible for it to stand still. What we discussed when we did the introduction to this, you say I've been burnt out, I'm having a rest. That's just another in the journey.
Yeah.
And then you'll find something else out, and you'll discuss something else, and you'll do something else in your faith journey, and you'll understand this more, and you understand that more, and you say, oh wow, and it's you've got nowhere to lay your head during that process.
Yeah.
And I think that might be why you feel tired and burnt out, know, because you haven't got a nest to lay in.
Yeah.
You haven't got a foxhole to hide in.
Yeah.
Because you can't get away from these thoughts of your journey and your faith, And
I think there's also an element of, if you've adopted these principles, you kind of feel compelled to jump into certain situations you might otherwise run away from.
Yeah.
There's a courage that comes with it of, I've got to deal with that.
Oh, yeah, it's very safe to stay at home and try not to think about religious and Christian things.
Yeah.
It's like that old thing I always say it occasionally. I said it. If you don't go to Christianity to feel good, if you want to feel good, buy a bottle of port.
Yeah.
Christianity does not make you feel good. It challenges you in very difficult ways, and you've got to be brave, I think, to do it. And a lot of people will hide from that because it's sometimes a difficult journey. Sometimes you've got to face realities that you're not living your life as you should, and that's a difficult thing.
Yeah.
And then you got to, if you suddenly did decide that you're not living your life in the way that you're living because you've felt your faith, you've felt God, and you want to change the way you live, that brings all sorts of difficulties, and you've got to hopefully bring your family along with you in that respect.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you've got this person that's completely changed, and it's disruptive in the family. So it's a difficult time, and it needs bravery, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's what the scribe was doing. You know, a scribe is someone, you know, they were the desk clerk of the day. They would have been indoors, had a cushy job, writing, and yet he's saying, "I'll follow you."
Well,
anywhere.
he'd be, I think a scribe would be a religious scribe. So he would be writing the copies of whatever, the Torah or sermons and stuff like that for the Pharisees. So he would be indoctrinated into the Jewish religion. He's like a curate. Yeah. And all of a sudden he's going to follow Jesus. Yeah. Woof.
That's true, actually. Yeah, he has to leave behind that whole establishment.
And and Jesus said to him, he said, "Well, off you come, but there ain't any foxholes, there ain't any nests. There's nowhere to hide. This is,
that's
you know what I mean? This is.
Yeah, it could be a warning.
This might hurt."
That's actually a really good point. It could be a warning. It's like, hold on, mate. I know you're a house cat. Yeah. This isn't going to be easy. That's a really good point. I didn't see that at all.
Yeah,
that's good. And when he got into the boat, his disciples followed him. A gale arose on the lake, so great that the boat was being swamped by the waves, but he was asleep. And they went and woke him, saying, "Lord, save us, we are perishing." And he said to them, "Why are you afraid, you of little faith?" Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a dead calm. They were amazed, saying, "What sort of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him?" This is one of the classics, Dad.
Yeah.
Quite a few famous bits in here. Ye of little faith, as it was in the King James. It's a you of little faith.
Yeah.
Which is something I don't like, because a lot of people use it to scold others.
Yeah, they use it completely out of context.
Ye of little faith.
In other words, you're not believing what I'm telling you.
Yeah, and I've had someone say it to me in reference to not buying into something. I was discussing the Shroud of Turin, and it's a debated thing. There's evidence that's come back that it is actually real, but it was discredited for a long time.
That's right, yeah.
And I hadn't heard the new information, it was very new.
Yeah.
And someone said to me, "Oh, ye of little faith," and
it's like, condescension.
Yeah, and I was just
rude.
like, "Why?"
That's very rude, actually.
Yeah, but it's a little thing. But being English, you're hypersensitive to those little put downs.
Yeah.
But,
no, it is. It's condescending and rude.
But it's like it's not anyone saying it, it's the Son of God, and also it's obvious to us now that he's the Son of God with this whole text that's in front of us. But at the end here, they're questioning what sort of man he is, that even the wind and the sea obey him. Because the disciples themselves were still waking up to the fact that he was actually the Messiah. He's not just a prophet.
No, this is mid-process.
Yeah, they're going, whoa. Like, we've seen him do a few healing things, but other prophets have been able to heal people. Now he's commanding nature itself, and it's like, oh. And that's a running theme throughout the Bible, throughout the Gospels, is the disciples not just doubting Thomas, but many of them struggle with what Christ is saying, and he's often telling them off and saying, you're not getting it. And these are the 12 most, the closest Christians to him. He's
always telling them off.
Yeah, so
well, the human beings are all failing at all the fences, and that's quite normal for us to do.
So that just popped at me, that even the disciples are still trying to figure this out, and that God is saying, Christ is saying even to his closest followers that they're still not got enough faith. So I found it reassuring, if anything, that the idea that you're going to have an ironclad, 100% loyal, what's the word I'm looking for, unquestioning faith on absolutely everything all the time. Not even the disciples were able to do that.
No.
So I liked that, but it's a classic story. I think we could talk about it for days. What did you see in it?
Yeah, I just check on you on that last point. Yeah, I mean, I always describe my faith as bomb-proof.
Yeah.
And perhaps it's not, but I feel that it is, and it's a confidence in my faith that nothing's going to shake it, because it's been tested quite a few times, and it's come through in shining colours every time. But to ye of little faith, to read every section of this massive book and just take it all as verbatim, I'd say would be pretty irresponsible, because a lot of this is memories, and a lot of this has been constructed by men.
Yeah.
And I always have a little bit of suspicion about people that put and you'll find this in different Bibles have different contexts and slightly different inferences.
Yeah.
Because of men.
Yeah.
And because of their influence in these texts. So to just take everything that you see in the Bible as verbatim and true, I would have great difficulty with that. I know some people in certain schisms do, but I have a great difficulty with that. And I think that's beautiful about our particular church, is that we go into theology and discuss the meaning of these things and evaluate them. This year of little faith thing, being used in context about everything, is quite condescending and pretty dumb, actually, to do it, to be honest with you. It's pretty thick. Yeah, this is an absolutely fantastic, wonderful passage, because for me personally, it brings to mind a painting by a master. I can't remember who it was. It was somebody like Van Dyck or somebody like that. There are a couple of these paintings, classical paintings of them in a boat.
Oh, I've seen it with the way, and the boat's up on its side almost.
They're absolutely phenomenal.
It's stunning.
Art. And paintings are just beautiful paintings. The light, the details, the inference are fantastic. So the first thing that I do is I see this mental image of that Grand Master of painting. And this is Jesus making a point, I think. I can imagine Jesus just as much as still in the storm, conjuring it up.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I just see him going out in a boat and saying, I'm going to make a point here.
Yeah.
He fast asleep. He might not have been fast asleep. He might have sort of pretended he's fast asleep and conjured up this storm. This lot are all going bananas in it because they think they're all going to die, which these boats, nobody had life jackets and they didn't have the RNLI with self-rotated boats. If you went out in a storm in the Sea of Galilee, you're dead.
Yeah.
You'd never be seen again. And so this is real major, we're all dead stuff, And then, of course, they wake him up and thinking, he's just done these, is there something they can do to help us out, And so he's wake him up and he sort of might pretend to come to sleep. Oh, you little faith, Then he stops, says a few words, he stops. I think what he's doing is he's making a point.
Yeah.
He's making a couple of points. One is that he's the Son of God and he has control over almost everything, which you'd expect a divine Son of God to be.
Yeah.
So he can control the waves, he can control the sea, he can control the wind. He doesn't do that on a regular basis because obviously it would be a bad thing to do. But in this case, in this audience, he's instantly confirmed that he is the Son of God without a shadow of a doubt. He's the Son of God. Nothing else could do this other than the divine force. And the other point that he's making, I guess, is that if you have faith in me, you should never worry about anything. And that comes up, I think, quite a few times that I've seen. And even if you're facing death, don't be frightened because God's with you and Jesus is there. And you think, well, what's that mean? Is he going to save me? Am I not going to die? No, it doesn't. It means that God will be with you during this process and everything will be good.
Yeah.
Now, you've got to have faith to get that.
Yeah.
You've got to have faith to understand that that's a good thing, that even if you do die, you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. And that is part of your faith that you've got to have. But I think that's what he's saying here is you've got to have faith in me, whatever. And if you have faith in me, whatever, you will be all right. And he's proving the fact that you will be all right in a very practical way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a good point, that, because it is a hard pill to swallow. It's like, hold on a minute, what if I'm dying of cancer or someone's coming in my house with a gun? I'm just supposed to, I'm going to be that ye of little faith person, quite reasonably. You're right, it does take a level of faith to buy into that. Even with me, I struggle with that. But the point you made there of even if you die, it's all right, because of course we believe in an afterlife, and that that's going to be okay on the other side.
I'll tell you something personal. And you've got to be careful about. I've got to be careful about where I say it, because it's not big-headed. It's not going to sound big-headed or anything like that. This is an absolute. It's the truth, but it's not big-headed. I'm not frightened of dying, and there's only one reason I'm not frightened of dying, and that's because I know I'm going to be with God. Yeah, I'm going to be somewhere, and I'm going to be in peace and happy. I'd be sad about leaving the people, but will I? Will I be in a place where I'm not sad about leaving the people? Who knows? I don't know. I haven't got a clue really what heaven, if you like, is going to be like with God. But I'm confident that I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Now, when you've got that level of faith and you do truly believe it, and I don't know what it is, but something makes it. I think it's being aware of God and having that really strong faith in God and knowing God's with you. You know you're going to be all right. So when I was, I think it's happened to me a couple of times where I've nearly died in hospital. One of them was when I had a badly infected hip and I ended up in intensive care. And the other one was at the beginning of this year when I had those big
blood clots
in my lungs.
Yeah.
And I was 50-50 whether I was going to get through it all. And I remember, passing on details to your mum about bank account numbers and stuff like that. So preparing for death. And remembering that I wasn't frightened at all. Not in the slightest frightened. And because what that does, and that's like I say, I don't want to be big-headed about it. I'm not. There's nothing. It's not anybody. I think anybody can do this once they've got a level of faith that convinces you. This is why you get these stories of people of priests on battlefields walking through bomb shells and stuff like that. Because if they get hit and they're blown up, okay, but it's not the end of the world, just the end of that particular phase of your earthly life. And what it does is not only does it help you overcome situations of like in a boat, if you're going to die, if you really do know you're going to die. If I was in an aeroplane and it was on fire and the wings coming off and I knew I was going to die, I wouldn't be panicking, screaming and shouting. I'd be contemplating the event, and I'm sure I would. And it was like that when I was in hospital. I wasn't starting to panic, but I'm going to die, I'm going to die. It was like this calmness of being almost being in control, and also in that respect, losing the fear of death allows you to concentrate on other things more clearly. So you tend to lose that human element of self-preservation, if you like.
Yeah.
It's still with you. Don't get me wrong. You're not going to sort of sit there and let a car run over you and stuff, But it allows you to concentrate on other things more clearly.
Yeah.
But it is a very powerful advantage that comes from having a strong faith with God. When he came to the other side of the country of the Gadarenes, 2 demoniacs coming out of the tombs met him. They were so fierce that no one could pass that way. Suddenly they shouted, "What have you to do with us, Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" Now a large herd of swine was feeding at some distance from them. The demons begged him, "If you cast us out, send us into the herd of swine." And he said to them, "Go." So they came out and entered the swine, and suddenly the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and perished in the water. The swineherds ran off, and on going into the town, they told the whole story about what had happened to the demoniacs. Then the whole town came out to meet Jesus, and when they saw him, they begged him to leave their neighbourhood. And after getting into a boat, he crossed the water and came to his own town. we've got the demoniac, which is a possessed person coming out of a tomb while he was walking along, I guess, and they come out of the tomb. They were living in the tombs because they're possessed by demons, if you like. And they were fierce, so nobody could pass that way. So they were obviously vicious people. And they saw Jesus, and they obviously identified him as the Son of God. He says, have you come here to torment us before the time? And I guess the time means the time of reckoning, or whatever that refers to. And now the swine, it's interesting, there's a large herd of swine feeding with swine herds, because they're dirty animals in Jewish religion, which Jesus was. So he would have considered those pigs to be unclean beasts, and that, I would imagine, is something that the Gadarenes might not have a problem with pigs. They might eat pork, and that's why there's a herd of swine being tended by swine herds, which you probably wouldn't find in Judea, because of the Jewish disregard of pork. So there's a sort of interesting, it is in a foreign country and a foreign land that has a different set of values to the Jews, and he meets a couple of demoniacs, who then he exorcises the demons out of them into a herd of pigs, and they all rush down into the sea and drown. So it's an exorcism, I guess, in a way, and a destruction of unclean swine, which then the whole town disliked intensely, because he probably killed a lot of very valuable pigs and saw him as killing all the pigs, so they begged him to leave. I don't know. I don't know what that's saying, other than exercising demons into pigs. And
we're in the section of the text that's talking all about his miracles. Yeah. So I think it's just another miracle story. Yeah. As we've just read, that this is bringing the prophecy of Isaiah to the case, to the forefront, someone that can heal people. So I think it's just another example.
Because these are demoniacs.
Yeah, because the gospel is lots of individual stories gathered together. So it's just cataloguing it. I think it's because of how huge an event it was. Imagine if you saw 2,000 pigs go crazy and run into the sea and kill themselves after a man claimed to have just got a spirit out of someone. That's worth recording. That would have got around. So I think it's just a major event.
Okay, I'd go with that then.
I know what you mean.
It's not like the storm on the sea.
No,
there's a definite strong message in that.
Yeah, there's not. I can't find a moral lesson in there, but it's the thing that was interesting to me was the mindset of the demons. If we just buy into the story for a moment, that these people are... When I read that, it said 2 demoniacs coming out of tombs met him. My first thought was a sort of 2 crazy homeless people with mental illness, shouting and screaming and obviously in pain. As we've mentioned before, it could be a jargon for mental illness, but and daring God in a very aggressive way of, what have you come here? Are you here to torment us before judgment time? And sort of an aggressive defense, because they know their time's coming, essentially, and so they're fronting up to him. But then they beg him, so they kind of realise they're done for, I suppose, and they say, well, if you cast us out, send us into swine. And I'm wondering if that's a sort of metaphor of, we don't want to be healed, and we don't want to die, because we don't think the afterlife will be kind to us. They're sort of trying to cling on to whatever they can of the material world. And you made the point of swines being unclean in the Jewish tradition. So it's like, I would want to live the dirtiest life possible just so I'm still in the material world, rather than either give myself up to God or death.
I guess if you believe in demons, and this is how it's recorded, then if a demon leaves a body, it dies, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's the mindset.
It has to possess something, so perhaps it has to possess a pig.
Yeah.
as the best, because he's not going to be able to jump to another person, because Jesus wouldn't let it jump to another person. So he's got the negotiation is jump to the pig.
I think I saw it as sort of trying to cling on to the material world and the broken world.
Or is it a trick by Jesus? Yeah, go and live in the pig, and now I'll send you all into the water.
Could be. Well, it does. I don't think it says that
he does that.
Jesus does it. And that's the next question: is why on earth are all the pigs going crazy and running into the water? Like the thing with a lot of the Bible is the Gospels were written for accounts of what Jesus did, and then a lot of the books after it are a lot of scribes and teachers and prophets trying to figure out what the heck all of this actually meant. A lot of the scholarly work is done after the events. So this is the sort of event where that happens and you see that and you go, what the heck was that? And then you spend 2,000 years trying to figure it out. Another interesting part, though, was at the end, the swineherds aren't happy about this. They've just lost all their stock. They
probably don't consider the pigs to be unclean, you see.
Yeah.
So what he's done, he's sacrificed their pigs for the sake of two people.
Yeah, and then the neighbourhood comes and beg him to leave, which to me is a sort of element of you're not always going to be welcome with your Christian values. But then the other thing is he does actually leave. Jesus doesn't say, no, I'm staying and you're going to live my life. He leaves, and that ties into another passage where he says to his disciples, if you're not welcome, leave that town and kick the dust off your shoes. So there are a few Christian principles in there, but yeah, that is a heck of a story, deep with symbolism, and I can imagine people being around him going, what the heck was all that? But I see that as a mindset within a demon, or if you want to be more materialist, someone of our world who's sort of selfish and clinging to the material world.
You see, I have to be, and I'm sorry if this offends anybody watching, that I know that people do take the Bible literally and absolutely, but I have a difficulty believing this passage. I have difficulty believing that demons jump from people into pigs and then run down a hill and all die in a lake. I mean, Jesus could I would imagine has the power to do that, but it all seems a bit Hammer House of Horror for me. This, everything else that I read in the Bible, almost apart from the Old Testament, he's sort of sending a message and showing a positive way forward. This passage for me sort of sticks out as where's that come from? And this is where I sort of mistrust a little bit our own scribes over the years that have brought these things into the Bible. So my personal take on it is I'm not that impressed with that. Sorry if it offends anybody. Don't mean to.
Yeah, you're right. It does feel a bit different from everything else we've read. I remember I read this in a Bible group in America, and they were much more devout than I was. And we read
if you take it literally, he's cast out demons, and
what I was going to say was we sat around and read it, and as I said, they were more devout than I was.
Yeah.
But then when it was finished, we all went, "What the heck is
that? What was that about?"
So even devout people, I think, will wonder what that was. But to me, again, I just looked for the metaphors within it.
Yeah.
And I see it as an argument you could be having with an ungodly person that favours the material world, because they're sort of begging for life of any kind, even if it's in a dirty animal. It could be that it's something beyond our comprehension, like a UFO sighting. It's just it's such a crazy series of events that might not even be linked together.
No.
That
I could see where that sort of passage would be real fodder for a theologian from, say, Oxford or Cambridge, and they'd make lots of airy-fairy stuff about that.
Yeah.
But I generally, when I read the Bible and I read about Jesus and our faith, to me it all seems very simple. it's all pretty basic. It's not that you don't have a degree in theology to understand Jesus, what he's about and what he was doing. And I would worry that anybody that tried to explain that, I'd explain it into some complicated nonsense. I've heard that sort of stuff before, you know.
Well, there's also, it reads like a fictitious story. A lot of the New Testament, a lot of the Gospel, one of the reasons that it's a boring read is because it's actually a historical account of events.
Yeah,
so it's a
you're
documentary.
saying that's a recorded event, aren't
So
you?
these are, it's almost like this is a documentary, and all of a sudden we now have a little movie, because the way it's laid out is very much like a story, the structure of it. And the reason why is because there's a hint of irony, which is that he makes a deal with these demons to go into the swine, and then all the swine go crazy and run off into the... So it's almost like the bad guys are getting their just desserts. So there's an element of...
Oh, I see.
There's an element of story in it, rather than just a fictitious account. It reads like a myth, and I think that's why there's an element of falsehood to it, because it feels like it's too good to be true. It's a story. It's got, the bad guys get their just desserts, which, by the way, isn't really the story of the gospel, because, for a lot of it, it's the good guys getting hurt.
All demons living amongst swine will always perish.
Yeah, so it reads like a very old myth rather than a historical account. But I read it like a UFO sighting where a bunch of crazy stuff happened. You couldn't not put that in the Bible. That would have been talked about everywhere. Oh my God, did you hear about these 2,000 pigs that went on a stampede? And so maybe that's one to read up on and see what others have said. But that's a crazy story to end on, I think.
Interesting, man.
Was there anything within it, even if you don't take the whole thing as gospel, was there anything within it that you kind of went, oh, I kind of see that? Was there anything that came out of it?
Yeah, I think the thing that I saw that came out of it was that a demon, if you like, whether that be a person that was possessed or a demon in its spiritual form or whatever, can try and hide in an unclean animal or swine or another person that's evil or sinning, and it's saying that you can't hide, you can't get away.
Yeah.
Even though if you hide in the dirtiest depths of the world, your time will come. So they might have felt safe in a bunch of pigs.
That's good. Yeah, I know, I see that.
Weren't.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So therefore, that you're evil. If you're evil and your evil deeds, you will not hide from God.
Yeah.
You will always be sought out.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, what I could take from that as a fable, not a fable, a parable, if you like. Yeah.
Yeah, that works. Yeah, you can't outrun God, I suppose, as well.
No.
Yeah, that is good.
And you can't do a deal to get away from God.
That's a good point. Yeah, he's trying to make a deal with Jesus, isn't he?
Yeah.
Which is the sort of thing the devil would do, make a
There's
deal.
no deals to be done.
Yeah, that's good.
What's right's right and what's wrong's wrong.
All right, Dad, so looking over chapter 8 here, I just saw a little bit of a pattern, which is, Jesus, we did this in the last episode with Father Daniel. Jesus is cleansing a leper, he's cleansing the centurion's servant. Today we read that he's cleansing, healing Peter's mother-in-law, who had bones of fire and relieved her pain. And then you see that the crowds are starting to form around him, and people are saying, we want to follow you, we want to follow you. But then, when they do follow him on the boat, they're shocked to actually see his power. So perhaps they're seeing, this man's a healer, this man's a prophet, this man is obviously a force for good, I want to be associated with it. And then they're slowly realizing, oh God, it's even bigger than that. He's not just a Messiah. He's not
just a healer.
He's not just a healer fulfilling certain parts of prophecy. He is the big guy, and they're waking up to that. And then they get off the boat, and you have this huge crescendo of 2,000 pigs running off into the ocean, and he's actually asked to leave. Understandably by another place, but this is getting big and this is getting scary as well. So it was quite interesting to see through the eyes of those watching this is becoming a big deal. This is, whoa, this isn't just another prophet.
Building, yeah.
So that's what I saw overall with these passages we just read.
No comment.
Did anything pop out with you that you didn't get a chance to say earlier?
Not really, except, not that I didn't get a chance to say, but I'd reiterate the fact that we've got a series of, like you said, recordings of miracles. Apart from the would-be followers, which isn't a miracle, that's a response to the miracle as well. So it's all about miracles, and like you say, Jesus building, getting looking more serious, showing people it's not just a trick faith healer. This is the Son of God that's coming here, and things are starting to change. But I also think what I have seen in each one of these miracles and each one of these recordings in the Bible, that there generally is a parable. There's it's not just Shazam, I've fixed that, but there's actually a deeper sort of understanding of what's going on. A bit like the faith, he can kill a gale, he can stop the seas being swollen. That's not the point. The point is that it's showing that you should have faith that will happen always. And I think the last one that we thrashed out about the demoniacs and the swines and trying to do a deal with God that just don't work, will never work. So there's a sort of subtext in all of this that is a demonstration of the good of what you should do in your life and how you should live it, as well as a recollection of a lot of miracles, That's how I think I got out of that.
Yeah, I said it at the beginning, I was kind of hoping that these passages would, wake me up a little bit, get the fire going again. They really did. There was some great bits in there. It was nice to read some classic stuff again. It's always nice when the classic stories pop up again. You go, I remember this one.
In the storm, yeah.
Yeah, but in hearing what you had to say as well, you made a few connections today that I'd never seen before. And that woke me up a bit. So I feel refreshed for having read them all. And it really, the theme has been healing. That you can have your bones on fire, you can have demons in your head, so to speak. And yet Jesus, without you even asking him a lot of the time, will heal you. And you don't have to have achieved something to be worthy of that love.
No.
You're loved already.
Yeah,
which
you
is
don't.
something.
No, that's right. You don't have to do anything. You just have to open your heart, and he'll be there. He'll be in it. Which
I think is an important message. It's very hard. You mentioned earlier, therapy is so much about it's trying to love yourself, and that's lovely. But it's such a comforting thing to know that you're completely loved. Because the thing was, I've often wondered, how can someone love me if they completely know me? It's kind of a scary thing to reveal yourself, and I know me entirely, and I struggle to love me. How can I ask it of someone else? But the thing about God is, if you buy into this, he knows you better than you know yourself and still loves you. That's a heck of an affirmation to have. And every now and then I can buy into it, and it really gives me a boost. And I saw that in those passages today, so I'm really glad I read them.
Yeah. I think, there's the word that says love will conquer all. I always believe that. I think it absolutely is true, because love is the output of the finest part of a human being, and it will conquer all. And especially God's love is it comes straight from God, and love is based on faith and trust. And like you say, how can somebody love me because I know who I am? Well, it's just love will overcome that. It will overcome any little foibles or any what we consider of ourselves to be displeasurable aspects of ourselves. And a person that loves you, if it's a human being, will take those in the stride and say, well, that's just the person, it's just the way they are, and I got it, but there are greater things to love than little problems like this and like that. And that's God's the same. He'll just love you. He don't care what your problems are. He don't care what your little sins are. He'll trust in him and you'll overcome them. But it's all based on trust again. Trust in God. Love him. He'll love you. It'll overcome everything.